Rapid Med Urgent Care Center in Highland Village provides southern Denton County families with state-of-the-art emergency medical care right in your neighborhood. From checkups to broken bones, school vaccinations, sports physicals, and more, you can count on Rapid Med for all of your medical needs. Rapid Med is proud to provide the latest in concussion management through the IMPACT program in partnership with the Texas Health Sports Network. Rapid Med Urgent Care Center is dedicated to providing you with quality care quickly. Visit www.rapidmed.com.
Hello, and welcome to the Denton County Precinct 1 Constable Debate. My name is Bob Weir. I'm a contributing writer with the Cross Timbers Gazette, and I'll be the moderator for this videotape forum, which is being sponsored by Rapid Med Urgent Care Center located at FM 407 in Highland Village. I'd also like to thank the management at Lantana Golf Club for providing the venue for this forum. The candidates are Constable Jesse Flores, the incumbent, and his opponent, Johnny Hammons. Each candidate will have a 1-minute opening and a 1-minute closing. The forum will consist of 2 phases. During the first phase, the candidates will be asked 5 questions, which have been provided for them in advance. They will each have 1 minute for their answers. During the second phase, the candidates will be allowed to ask questions of each other. Answers will also be 1 minute. Any rebuttals will also be completed in 1 minute. The timekeeper will hold up a sign when you have 30 seconds left and a stop sign when your time has expired. We'll begin with an opening statement from Mr. Flores.
Thank you, Bob. A little bit about myself, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jesse Flores. I am your constable for Precinct 1. I have a wife and 2 children, 13-year-old boy and a 9-year-old daughter. I've been in law enforcement going on 22 years. In one place was the Louisville Police Department, and now I am your constable seeking a second career here in Precinct 1. Just to let everybody know, I've been in Precinct 1 for 12 years. I built a house in Precinct 1. I started a family in Precinct 1. So I understand the concerns and issues that you face every day here in Precinct 1. I am looking forward to continue to serve as your constable. I have the best staff in place ready to serve you and have been serving you since I've taken office in May 2013. Again, you'll find my name under the Republican primary candidate as Jesse Flores, Constable, and the incumbent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Hammons, your opening statement.
Thank you, Bob. My name is Johnny Hammons. I feel that I'm the most experienced candidate for Constable Precinct 1. I have 20 years of law enforcement experience, and it was my honor to serve the last 10 years under Constable Jim Dotson. That's where I became proficient in civil process. I was born and raised in Denton. I've lived in Denton County my entire life. The constable's office is a very important position, and I am asking that you please consider Johnny Hammons for Constable Precinct 1. Like I said, I have 10 years hands-on experience doing civil process, which is the main duty of the constable's office. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hammons. Okay, the first question goes to Mr. Flores. The question is, please tell the voters how you view the role of a constable in Denton County. For example, the duties and responsibilities involved.
Well, Bob, it's clearly outlined in the Texas Constitution of 1876 in Article 5, Section 18, the legislative mandated duties of a constable, which is the civil process, executing all the civil papers out of the courts, and being the courtroom security for the JP courts, serving as the bailiff, and executing all the warrants that come out of the courts as well. Now, the constable, if well managed, the office creates more time. He's allowed to expand on his duties as a law enforcement officer, such as my guys have been visibly seen in the school zones. We started a program where when they're not serving papers or executing warrants, they're out visiting the schools, checking on the safety of the children. So a constable is allowed to elaborate more as long as he's concentrating on his core values the core legislative mandated duties of the office, as I explained.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Same question, Mr. Hammons.
He's correct, and the duties of the constable is clearly lined out in the Texas Constitution. They are to provide a bailiff for the Justice of the Peace Court. They are to serve civil process, and serving civil process includes serving evictions, serving any type of lawsuit. It could be removing children from home, and more importantly, it could also include protective orders. And protective orders are very, very important, and they're very time sensitive. And if not served properly, then you could be putting women and children in harm's way. And constables, to me, are the ultimate public service. When a constable knocks on your door, a lot of people perceive that to be the worst day of their life. So you need to make sure that you have experience, and you need to handle each case with experience, integrity, and be respectful about your duties.
Thank you, Mr. Hammons. For the next question, we'll begin with you, Mr. Hammons. The question is, why do you feel that you're the most qualified candidate for constable?
I feel that I'm the most qualified candidate for constable because of my experience and my integrity. I have over 10 years hands-on experience with civil process. That is the main duty of the constable's office. Now, Jesse's lack of experience, I believe, in the constable's office has caused an undue burden on taxpayers, because when he took office, he was not able to serve all of his papers in his precinct, and he had an outside constable serving papers for him. So I believe that I am the best person for this job.
Thank you, Mr. Hammons. Mr. Flores, same question.
Well, naturally, I disagree with my opponent. I expected such an answer, but I'll explain. My experience is I have a Master's Peace Officer's license with over 2,800 hours of continuing training as a law enforcement officer, which is very important, ladies and gentlemen, that you're going to have somebody that's done their time and have their education. See, in order to get a Master's Peace Officer's license, you have to have training, time, and education, which I have. And I've far exceeded, since taking office in May of 2013, I already have my advanced civil process. I already have my certification as a constable. I already have my certification as a supervisor. I manage a budget that, when walking into the office, I wasn't able to create. But I was able to turn in $20,000 of a surplus back to the county. So I already have proven leadership within the office. I have the respect of my staff, who is currently supporting me and asking me to stay, to be the constable, to continue providing the excellent services that we provided. And it is incorrect. I've served all the papers out of my office.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. For this question, we begin with you, Mr. Flores. Please explain how a constable differs from a county sheriff or a municipal police officer.
Well, what people need to understand, a constable and a sheriff are elected officials with a 4-year term. I'll give an example of a police chief. A police chief is hired by a city, and the police officer is hired on by the city, and the jurisdiction lies with only in the city limits. Where the constable and the sheriff, they have county-wide jurisdiction, and the sheriff is going to be, the main responsibilities for the sheriff is going to be the jail, and he provides patrol investigation to the unincorporated areas of the county. Where, again, as the constables, as we previously explained to you earlier, we're going to be responsible for the civil process, the bailiff, and the warrants out of the courts. That's what we're concentrating on. That's the difference.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Same question, Mr. Hammons.
Constables are duly commissioned peace officers just like any other police officer. They have the same powers. They can arrest. They can conduct investigations. The main focus, though, is constables are in charge of civil process, like Jesse just said. It's very important that these civil papers are served in an efficient manner. They need to focus on their civil. Failure to do so can result in the taxpayers being liable for thousands of dollars in damages awarded in court. Or in worst case, a woman and her children could be left in harm's way due to the domestic violence. You have to serve them as soon as possible. And the constable is that's the main function of a constable.
Thank you, Mr. Hammons. And for the next question, we'll begin with you. What type of training, if any, is needed to meet the requirements of the office? For example, academic, physical, etc.
Well, as far as training goes, you have to be a certified peace officer to begin with to be a constable. Constables also, the state requires every 4 years, they require continuing education. Constables also have to have an additional 20 hours of civil process. Physically, the county has a physical that is a pre-employment that you have to pass. That's, for now, as far as I know, that's the only physical requirement that there is with the county. And the constables, like I said, they have additional responsibility of 20 hours every 4 years of civil process training.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. Same question, Mr. Flores?
Well, actually, anybody could be elected to constable without a peace officer's license, but they would be required by law to, within 270 days, to go to a police academy, which they provide 642 training hours to get your basic peace officer certification. Training is going to be very important, ladies and gentlemen. It's not only just in law enforcement, but there's management training that's being offered that I've already attended numerous times. Because you're dealing with the budget, you're dealing with liability. In civil process, we're dealing with attorneys, we're dealing with judges, and it's very important to understand what you're executing on these civil papers, because any mistake that a constable, any constable in the state of Texas make, can be held liable and costing taxpayers thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's really important that you have your Master's Peace Officer's license, the experience, because dealing with law enforcement, if you're using use of force, you could be held liable for people's bad decisions and actions.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Now, for the final question before we begin the open debate, we'll begin with Mr. Flores. Question is, if elected, what would you do to improve the office of Constable in Precinct 1?
That's a very good question. We never stop improving, Bob. My staff and I are always looking ways to improve in the office, creating the most efficient and effective way of us able to do our duties. We created in the process of making a paperless office where we're not spending money on printing papers. I've introduced technology into the office, where the deputies now are out in the field longer and able to look up addresses and do the research out on the field rather than coming back to the office, saving taxpayers wear and tear on the vehicles and gas and stuff like that. I created longer hours and scheduling for my deputies to be able to serve those papers, reducing the overtime within the office. So I'm out of time, I believe so, but that's my answer.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Flores. Same question, Mr. Hammons.
Well, I would like to see the training increased. You can never be overtrained. I'd like to also ensure that the taxpayer dollars are not paying for the deputies and the constable to be working out of county or out of their precinct using a county vehicle. It's not it shouldn't be a burden on the taxpayers for officers to make extra money by having to pay for the wear and tear and the gas of a county vehicle. I want to ensure that all the papers will be served by the deputies in Precinct 1. We'll have a lean and effective budget, but we're going to ensure that no money is spent unnecessarily. Papers will be served in the same uniform every day. There will be no need for a special uniform to perform duties as warrants. You can arrest someone in the same uniform just as well as you can serve them a paper in that same uniform.
Thank you, Mr. Hammons. Well, that concludes the question and answer portion of it as far as what was given to the candidates ahead of time. Now, for the second phase of the forum, I'm going to ask the candidates to pose questions to each other. Which one of you would like to begin?
Since I went first.
Would you like to begin, Mr. Hammons? Please.
Jesse, when you took office, you promised the Republican precinct chairs you were not going to change anything in that office, that you had reviewed everybody and everybody was welcome to stay. However, when the day before you took office, you decided that you did not need me and the other deputy that had also asked for the same appointment that you asked for. And doing that, you said you were taking the office in a different direction. But on the other hand, you've told in an open forum that one of the reasons that you chose to let me go was that you'd save the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars by doing that. What were you talking about?
Well, Johnny, let me remind you, you left an important part when I did make an open invitation for everybody to stay. But you shook my hand that day when I received the endorsement of the Republican Party, and you promised you were going to support me. Yes. An open statement. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Well, the day that I came by to the office, Bob, is when I was going to come by, and I was actually going to sit down and meet with the staff to see what they were about, because I didn't know anybody in the staff. And so I felt like it was my obligations to get to know everybody. But that day, when I walked into the office and confirmed if this is true, because it is true, I walked in and I overheard you and another deputy saying that I was incompetent, I was stupid, I didn't deserve to be the constables. I got witnesses, Mr. Hammons.
Oh.
I do. That, I didn't know what I was doing. And it went on and it just continued. So at that point, I withdrew my invitation for everybody to stay, and then I started digging in, started looking at your references and looking at who you really are. And to be honest with you, it didn't come out to be in your favor. I think your intentions was you were going to undermine my authority within the office, and I was not going to tolerate that in my office. I'm sorry, but that is the truth.
Oh, I've got to respond to that.
Yes, sure, a rebuttal, please.
Well, you said for yourself that you didn't know anyone there. How were you so sure that it was me? You say you have witnesses. Would it surprise you to know that there were actually 4 deputies in there, and you were on the outside because at the time you didn't have access to come inside the office, so you were listening through a door. And you left out the part that I said, we have to support him if we want to keep a job, that we have no choice but to support him. And when I shook your hand at that forum, I told you that I would support you 100%. And that's on video as well. So that's just not true. And
I'm sorry, I disagree with that.
Okay. You finished with your statement? Okay.
Then you have
a question.
Ladies and gentlemen, anybody is welcome to come to my office to visit to do their further research, and my staff has openly expressed that they'll talk to anybody that comes and visit my office.
Would you have a question for Mr. Hammons now?
Well, Mr. Hammons, in your campaign, you talked about honesty and integrity and your experience within the office. And ladies and gentlemen, he only has his basic civil process, where I have my advanced civil process. But within the office, was your experience and your qualifications that you're trying to convince citizens that he should be the constable? I'm getting to my question. Why were you passed over? Three times there was an opportunity for you to promote from within the office under Jim Dotson as the chief deputy. Why were you passed over?
well, actually I wasn't passed over. If you'll check the employment with the employment office at the county, I never applied for that position. Our office was one of the most well-respected and one of the most efficient offices out of all 6 precincts. I didn't feel that there was a need for me to apply for chief deputy. And that is the only position that is available within the constable's office, as you're very much aware of.
Okay.
Do you have a rebuttal to that?
Okay. Well, that's not what my research has found, but again, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to contact me.
Well,
all right.
You can contact him. You can contact Denton County. You can go to Human Resources and you can do an open records request with Human Resources, and it will show that I did not apply for the chief deputy job in Precinct 1. That is a fact, and there is no truth to that. You are not being truthful.
I am being truthful. I have witnesses that can back my statement.
Okay. Would you like to begin another question, Mr. Hammons?
You came from Louisville Police Department, correct?
That is correct.
During your time at Louisville, were you ever reprimanded? Were you ever the focus of an internal affairs investigation?
There was, out of 21 years, that was only a one-time incident, and it dealt with accordingly. As anybody knows, this is policy, what he's talking about, Bob. This is not breaking the law. As anybody, any business has house rules, you're going to go through your career with dealing with rules and regulations. That was handled professionally by the Louisville Police Department. I commend on how they handled that situation.
Okay, would you not agree that both instances that I'm referring to involved women's safety over the reprimand and the internal affairs investigation? And I've got both. I've got my references too. One, you witnessed a woman being assaulted, and your failure to take action resulted in her being held hostage for 7 hours, and the SWAT team had to come in and rescue her. That was an official reprimand of yours also.
Okay.
The other one that I'm referring to was you ran license plates for a husband that was stalking his ex-wife who had previously assaulted her.
Okay.
Do you have an answer for that?
Absolutely, I do. The first incident was the license plate. I was the school resource officer where I was contacted by an assistant principal who lied about a suspicious vehicle being on the parking lot. His SRO was not available to assist them, was there, and I was not able to respond. So he was trying to identify who the person was. He believed it to be a student, so I was lied upon. And anybody can contact the Louisville Police Department that person lied about it. I fully cooperated with that investigation. On the second one, I had a field training officer and a sergeant who I reported to the field training officer as a responding officer and reported I witnessed it. He told me to stand by. He wanted to get permission from the sergeant. Sergeant gave us a direct order to stand by and not to kick down the door. Yet, I got disciplined for that incident. So that's my answer, and that's the truth.
Is this something, let me interpose this, is this something that was handled administratively, you mean?
Yes.
I see, okay. Who asked the last question? I
You
forgot.
did.
All right, then you have the next question.
Mr. Hammons, you have stated previously that you had never been disciplined or counseled in a form or fashion while employed under Jim Dotson. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Then why were you counseled for being on Facebook on county property, which is your iPhone, and complained upon that you were sitting at your wife's beauty salon for long periods of time running the engine, wasting the taxpayers' money on gas?
Well, I've never been reprimanded. I've never been counseled about that. I had talked to Jim Dotson about that, and if you'll recall, Jim was a very sick man and passed away from cancer, if you recall.
I do.
Yeah, okay. Jim, a lot of times, he didn't realize that the times that he was talking about when I had been on Facebook were times prior to my being at work and also times during my lunch. So no, that's not true.
Okay.
Would you like to have another question? Please.
It's your turn.
Oh, it's my turn,
Yeah.
okay. You stated that you took office in May. You were appointed, you weren't elected, you were appointed, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. After you took office, shortly after that, is it not true that you became the focus, or not necessarily not the focus, let me rephrase that. You were involved with the current sheriff in a grand jury investigation?
Well, Bob, you served on grand jury before. You do realize, I'm making note, there's a gag order that's in place with that investigation, so I'm not able to elaborate in full detail, other than I can tell people I was not investigated, I was contacted as a witness. And anybody's welcome to contact the Texas Rangers organization, which they will confirm that. That's all I'm legally allowed to say.
Are you satisfied with that?
No, I'm not, Bob, I'm not. In that investigation, in this affidavit, you failed to cooperate with the Texas Ranger who was investigating that. he had asked you for for an item, and you failed to cooperate. Why would you not cooperate? If you're only a witness, when you don't cooperate, then you can turn to suspect. Why would you not cooperate with the Texas Rangers?
Again, I got to abide by what the court order says, something about the gag order. Same reason that you didn't cooperate with the Krugerville PD when they investigated one of your family members in the investigation. You've taken that court to a higher court trying to appeal it, Mr. Hammons. But unfortunately, I have a gag order in place.
Well, that's not true. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but that of taking it to a higher court, that's just another one of those things that's not true.
Would you like to elaborate on that a little so the public will know what you're talking about?
I have documents to show that, and like I said, it's involving one of his family members, and where he has a house in Krugerville, where he ended up having to appeal on one of his family members in the case. But I'll be happy to share that document online with anybody.
I'm not satisfied with that. I'd like to know what it is that you're trying to put out there, saying that someone in my family had done something wrong. I'd like to know what that is. I'd like you to offer the proof of that. What is your proof?
Did you not have another son that was arrested for theft of a motor?
Of a motor? Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely not. I know what you're talking about now.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about, what you're talking about is my son that was a minor, and he was a juvenile, and there had been a go-kart it wasn't a motor, it was a go-kart. I know what you're alluding to now.
Okay.
My son had been given a go-kart by a cabinet shop man down from the house in Krugerville that we do own. And then he apparently wasn't authorized to give it to him. There was no theft, and there was no appealing to anything. I sued the city of Krugerville. I stood up for my son's rights because they were being violated. And what you're talking about is a juvenile case.
Okay, what about, who asked that last question?
He did.
Was that
I did.
you? Okay, so would you like something else?
Yes, what exactly what improvements or exactly what are you going to offer that I already have done for the citizens of Precinct 1? What are you going to do different than I already done for the office?
Well, number one, I'm going to be a full-time constable. I'll be in the office every day, all day, like the constable should be. As far as the warrants, you've stated that you inherited 4,000 warrants, a backlog of warrants. As you're very well aware, Denton is a college town. A lot of those warrants that you say that you've inherited are written to, they're tickets that were not paid by some of the university students, and some of those are out of state. I'd like to see your office staff investigate all of those warrants, and I'd like to see them mail out reminder cards to the ones that are out of state. You can go through those warrants, you can find the ones that some of them are deceased, and you can set up payment arrangements with these people, and everyone doesn't have to go to jail. And
That's something that is already in place that we're doing. Every deputy is assigned a warrant and research the warrant. We average now from anywhere from 60 to 75 clearing warrants a month out of my office. And not only what I have done, I've created efficiency where the warrants can be confirmed faster. It saves time. And we've been complimented by the county jail that how fast we're confirming these warrants off hours out of outside hours. In regards to me being outside the office, Bob, I'm out here contacted the community. I've actually served papers. I'm in training because I want to provide stronger leadership, provide efficiency, create. Like I said, the papers are being executed and the warrants are being executed. And we encourage people to come in and set up a payment plan, which is working very, very well. So, like I said, it's already being done.
the training and the education that you like to tout about the civil that you have, is that not a requirement to be the constable? Do you not have to have that training to be the constable?
The 20 hours that is required within a certain amount of years, yes, but I've far exceeded where I've gone to my basic. I've even gone to John Steinsick, who actually wrote it's just like little constable's Bibles that he made it simple where you can refer back to the author of a very good book to help other constables from making bad mistakes. I actually went to one of his classes on an advanced civil process. And on top of that, to create a proficiency within my office on training, as you pointed out, I became a firearms instructor, where we can now be a self-sustaining office where I'm not having to depend on other agencies. I'm creating an office that's self-sustaining by itself.
Well, your turn for a question if you have another question.
I'll pass to Mr. Hammons at this time.
Do you have another question?
I don't have another question for him.
I'd like to thank his time. I appreciate it.
Well, do you guys, do you feel that you've gotten the issues addressed in this debate? I mean, we so often read the blogs, and, you know, we have people on the blogs that sometimes very often they're anonymous, and they make a charge here and a counter charge there, and someone supports you, someone supports you. And so that's why I wanted these type of debates, because I want to have you guys ask each other the questions and let the people see and hear directly from you, how you guys handle yourself in questioning each other, what is on your mind during this long campaign. I know it's stressful. I've been in campaigns myself. I know how much it takes out of you. So I wanted to be sure that you guys got all the questions that you can think of right now. If you have anything else that you'd like to say before I close out this video, please, and you'll have your 1 minute. I don't mean that. I mean anything else as far as a question to each other. If you have, please do, because this is your chance.
Now, just let people know that being in a campaign is very stressful for both parties. And like I said, I don't have any ill will towards my opponent, but this is part of the process, and we'll find out at the end.
I agree. There is absolutely no ill will on my part, and it is a very long and grueling and demanding process. And it can also be a very nervous process, too.
Right. And I believe that, you know, the voters are very fortunate indeed that people step up to run for these offices, because it's tough to run in a campaign.
I agree.
It takes a lot out of you, and it takes a lot out of your family. So I congratulate both of you. It's now time for your 1 minute closing statement. Mr. Flores began with the opening, so Mr. Hammons, you can begin with the closing.
Thank you, Bob. I'd like to thank you and the people in Lantana and Max Miller at the Gazette for putting this together. It's clear to me that the differences between Jesse and myself can be summed up in 3 words: experience, honesty, and integrity. I would encourage voters to check the local newspapers concerning the Texas Ranger investigation that I had spoke about. Ask yourself if you want someone as constable who doesn't cooperate with the Texas Rangers, who has been reprimanded by his police department and investigated by internal affairs. Or would you rather have someone with 20 years of law enforcement experience, no reprimands, and a decade of direct experience in the constable's office? I'll offer you these 10 years of the constable experience compared to a very sparse 7 months. I have exhibited exemplary service to the citizens of Denton County as an officer, and now I'm asking you to help me restore the honesty and the integrity that we deserve back into the constable's office. Please vote for Johnny Hammons, Constable, Precinct 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hammons. Mr. Flores, your 1 minute closing.
I'd like to thank everyone that made this day happen with Cross Timbers Gazette and Lantana, the people of Lantana and the Country Club, as well as you and your wife and the staff out here. I want to let everybody know that there's no problem with my integrity and honesty. My opponent has not been truthful with anything that he said today, other than I am the constable. I am running the office as much as effectively, costly as you well deserve in an office. I encourage people to contact my staff and myself in the office for further investigation. Other than, ladies and gentlemen, you have a constable out here working for you, and I would like to continue to work and move forward with this. So please, on February 18th is early voting. March 4th is the primary. You can visit my website, constableflores.com. I'm looking forward to meeting everyone in person. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Flores. Again, I want to thank the candidates for an informative discussion of the issues in the campaign and wish both of them well in the Republican primary election. Early voting is from February 18th to the 28th, and Election Day is March 4th. Once again, I want to thank Rapid Med Urgent Care Center for sponsoring this forum. And thanks again to the management of the Lantana Golf Club for providing the venue for this forum. Thank you, gentlemen. Good day.
Rapid Med Urgent Care Center in Highland Village provides southern Denton County families with state-of-the-art emergency medical care right in your neighborhood. From checkups to broken bones, school vaccinations, sports physicals, and more, you can count on Rapid Med for all of your medical needs. Rapid Med is proud to provide the latest in concussion management through the IMPACT program in partnership with the Texas Health Sports Network. Rapid Med Urgent Care Center is dedicated to providing you with quality care quickly. Visit www.rapidmed.com.